Have you watched The Sinner? Well, if you haven't and you enjoyed some good crime investigation thriller series, then this is a good one for you. Trust me, I've seen it all. However, it has come to an end, and you know what that means. It's time to talk about it. We're going to be talking about the Season 4 finale and more, so this is your spoiler warning. So, what happened at the end of Season 4? The main storyline of Season 4 was trying to figure out the mystery of Percy Muldoon disappearing from her quiet village in Maine. Then we have Detective Ambrose appearing in order to try and fit the pieces together of a previous case, but obviously he jumps on this. I mean, he's always getting involved in everything. Anyways, after a small encounter, Ambrose calls the police after he believes he had seen Muldoon fall off the edge of a cliff and die. Intense, right? Pretty insane. However, if you've seen the show, then you know his alcoholism isn't taken very well by the police. Also, he's new in town, and they're not the most welcoming to newcomers. However, Muldoon's family has some secrets of their own, obviously. I mean, the biggest one is the illegal smuggling ring they own besides the fishing company. Now, I don't know about you, but the whole smuggling ring really surprised me there. I did not see that coming. That didn't stop Ambrose, though. No, he was tormented by the Muldoon's passing, which means he had to find out the truth. He ends up suspecting that the Lamb family could have something to do with her death, since they own the rival fishing company. Except the other suspects were also the Muldoon family themselves. That's right, Grandmother Meg, Father Sean, and Uncle Colin were all up there. Also, let's not forget Brandon, the ex, but he was soon taken off the list when he was assassinated. That was intense as well. I mean, did we really have to do that? Anyways, it turns out that Percy was in the dark when it came to her family's human trafficking business, but she ended up suspecting it before her death, which is never a good thing. She tried to go to the police, but ended up speaking to Officer Josh, who actually has a role in the ring as well. Obviously, he doesn't listen to her accusations and ends up taking her home. We must have all seen it coming though with Officer Josh. I know I did. You could see it in his eyes that he was part of the whole thing. Creep. Anyways, in the finale, it was revealed that Percy previously shot and killed the oldest son of the Lamb family, Beau, during a fight between him and her father. The Muldoons tried to cover it up by giving the Lamb family fishing permits and their very own fishing island. That way, they could lay their son to rest. The other messed up thing that happened was, because this show always had some messed up stuff, that the Lamb family kept Beau's death hidden so well that even his brother CJ didn't know. Yeah, CJ thought that Beau had run off to Hong Kong and didn't want anything to do with the family anymore. Are you serious? How does a family hide a murder that well? Also, why would you not want to get the other family in trouble? I don't know. Anyways, Percy was haunted by the murder, so she took her own life. At the end, Ambrose was seen standing where Percy fell and spoke to her. This is where we think that Ambrose learned that suicide was not the answer to his problems. Also, Ambrose said that Percy died because she needed a way to escape her trauma. She wasn't able to do that while living on that island. You have to remember that he had been having some major suicidal and depressive thoughts, but this shows that he has learned that taking his own life is not the way to go. It's an important message to share, especially amongst men, because male suicide rate is incredibly high. That's why, if you ever need to speak to someone, please reach out and call one of the self-help lines. There are people who want to speak with you and want you around. Well, that's the ending for you, and that's what it means. There are other ways out when you're having those thoughts. Keep watching now, because we have some information from executive producer Derek Simons about the last season. Let's take a look into Derek Simons' interview. Derek Simons did an interview with TV Line, and we have some interesting information we want to share with you. He was asked if he knew that Season 4 was going to be the last season of The Sinner, and he said, "I never know if the show's getting renewed until the season is shot and edited and broadcast, so I always prepare myself for it to be the end. I did that a bit with Season 3, but Season 4 was a welcome opportunity to fully complete Ambrose's journey, and I always imagined that Season 4 would close his trajectory in a hopefully satisfying way. That was always the intention." That's fair enough. You really never know if your show's going to be renewed for another season. However, I think they would find it difficult to continue the show any longer because there's only so much you can talk about when it comes to Ambrose. I was very happy there was a fourth season after the third one, because the third one was not the season for me. I definitely did not enjoy it as much as the other two. Another interesting question that was asked was how the death of Jamie really affected Ambrose. We've seen that they always seem to connect the previous case to how Ambrose is currently acting during the next case, but he felt really guilty about Jamie dying. So, was Jamie's death vital to the conclusion? Simon says, absolutely. I think many other detectives might have seen what happened to Percy and let it go at face value. The overarching question of why Ambrose is following this to its bitter end and in the process endangering his life and his relationship in order to solve this mystery begs another layer, and that's the guilt surrounding Jamie. Apparently, Simons and Bill spoke a lot about the actual root of Ambrose. They really got into how Ambrose is constantly trying to compensate for his guilt that's eating away at him because of his mother, his childhood, and his failed intimate relationships. Wow, if you really think about it, Ambrose hasn't had it very easy. That's how Simons and Bill realize that Ambrose is trying to rid the world of all the wrongdoing, one case at a time. He went on to speak about how the Muldoons are busy working with what they've done, but Ambrose hasn't actually gotten involved with the trafficking, and he hasn't actually saved Percy. On top of this, he's actually destroyed an entire family by himself. That's why Simon spoke about the question of whether or not justice can ever actually be reached, and if Ambrose is ever going to be able to get the justice that he wants for his cases. However, that's going to be a question we're always going to be left wondering. I think Ambrose is such an interesting character, especially because of how he's always held each case so close to his chest. Don't you think so? Also, he was asked about the final moment where Ambrose was kneeling down by the bluff. How should the audience interpret that moment of Ambrose? A moment of inner peace? Well, Simon said, "I'd like to think so. This image for me is implying that Ambrose is sitting with all the good and all the bad that he has ever been involved with." Simons went on to say how Ambrose was actually sitting within nature, and while looking out at the water, he realizes that there's a relationship we have with nature. Also, it's at that moment that he begins to wonder why we're actually here doing what we're doing. He's finally settled into just being there, in the present. On top of this, he liked the fact that he was kneeling because he was in a position that many people associate with worship. He liked that there was a slight religious note to the scene. Wow, I would have never guessed about the religious overtones, to be honest. As an audience member, I can tell that he's reached that moment of inner peace and that he's finally going to start healing from his journey. Anyways, that's the end of this video, like the end of The Sinner. What do you think of the finale? Which season was your favorite? What do you think would happen to Ambrose next? Let us know down below.